Hello and welcome back to our podcast series on all things remote. By the way, I hope you liked that little intro piece of guitar at the beginning. It was played by today's guest, a multi talented personality who can play 9 musical instruments. But it's not the music that we're going to talk about today, but a related area, team building, in the remote world. Today's guest is Rupert Picardo, who is an artist, coach, great marketing guy, facilitator, musician, multiple time TEDx speaker, serial entrepreneur, and he calls himself a creative contrarian. No wonder. On top of all of these, let me tell you, he's still happily married.
It's good to write this down and keep in front of you to read out next
Yeah.
time.
Hey Rupert, welcome, and it's an honor to have you on the show. Rupert is one of the leading team building and employee engagement specialists in India, and he's with us here to share some of his thoughts on how team building and engagement is going to be like in the post COVID times. And of course, his insights on what individuals, managers, and HR teams can do to ensure a productive virtual work environment. So, here we start. So, Rupert, you've been working in team building space for about 16 plus years now, and I'd say you've seen it all. Team management is an art and a skill to begin with. Now, with COVID, it pushed the need to upgrade the skill further. Can you give us a sense of what are the new challenges that the managers are facing in managing their teams, their motivation, collaboration, and productivity?
Well, the challenges that managers are facing are multifold, of course. Firstly, I think it is about being outcome driven. And what I mean by that is over the last 50 years, we've been literally telling everyone who's been promoted, becoming a manager, that it's a manager of people. And that's because of their people skills, their ability to manage. Now, one of the first effects of the extended work from home, it's going to be to change these people skills of motivation and collaboration, etc. And it's all going to turn towards productivity. At least the more of this work from home that we're going to see, this is where I see the change happening. It's, just to kind of like reinforce what I mean out here, possibly an exaggerated version, but it's literally going to come down to, I don't care for you as much as I care for the outcome. Now, in some form or the other, I think organizations have existed for that, but it's always been about teams, it's been about people and things like that. And that's why managers have been there, because every person is different, to try and engage them, motivate them, drive whatever can come out, in terms of the different skills, putting that together. But now it's all going to come down to outcome, because I don't see you on a regular basis. I'm not sitting in the same organization and office as you. I know that all of this goes against our brain, because individually as well as collectively, we always seek appreciation and encouragement. In the office environment, this validation was always available. You come to office, you meet your friends, you meet your people, you meet the team that you work with, and this is where that validation always happens. And I think that's going to be one of the biggest changes right now. The old norm of working with teams to try and motivate them from a personal perspective as well as from various other angles is going to change, because we don't see them that often. So the social angle of our office or our work environment, so to speak, is definitely changing, and it's going to have ripple effects. It's going to have effects on our culture. It's going to have effects on how people operate. It's literally like as though as an organization, a manager is really taking care of a smaller gig economy, so to speak.
Wonderful. Smaller gig economy. I'd love that. Very interesting. And yes, most gig economies are based on remote working. So, can team bonding happen remotely? If yes, what is the difference between the in-person team bonding and virtual team bonding that you've noticed?
Yes, team bonding is already happening remotely. Team bonding, team building, and we've been doing it for teams for over 3 years now. So it's not something new, because teams have been distributed. We've had teams where someone's sitting in Australia, someone's sitting in Singapore, someone's sitting in India, UAE, different parts of the world, and they're working together as a team. So the remote engagement, virtual team building, these are things that have already been happening. It's possibly become a little more obvious now, because it seems that there is no other form of team building. Now, critically, I think in terms of the difference between in-person team building and virtual team building or team bonding is really in terms of understanding the objectives. So when you're doing virtual team building, it's not as much as about building camaraderie as much as it is about recognizing communication styles, productivity, and other dynamics of the remote teams. So today it really doesn't matter that when you're engaging with a team, you're not trying to think that yes, all of us are sitting in that same city. We are all sitting in different pin codes in Bangalore. It really doesn't matter. One of those people might have been sitting in Australia, someone else sitting in US, could have been anywhere in the world, because you're not going to be together and working together trying to solve something through a team building exercise or a simulation. It is that you're going to be doing this remotely. So whether you're sitting in different pin codes in the same city, whether you're sitting in just different buildings in the same community, that's not going to be different. But it's important, therefore, to understand what the objectives are. And once again, those objectives are no longer about just building camaraderie, seeing each other. It's not so much about only the fun element. Of course, that's always going to be there in any kind of team building session. But it is going to be about recognizing those different communication styles, whether we can, be productive together. And those are the kind of dynamics. So there's a long list of these objectives, and a team needs to recognize what it is that they're going after when doing one of these sessions. And that's why that becomes, really critical. As long as they understand it, I think it's perfectly normal to do remote engagement. In fact, I say right now that it's recommended all the more than it was possibly about 3 or 6 months ago. It's far more recommended to have more of these remote engagement sessions today than it was, any time that I've seen in these last 15 years, and definitely in the last 3 years since we've had remote engagement at such a high level. I think today it's far more needed and recommended.
Well, I think so too. It's important to get the goals right before we jump into the remote team engagement. In fact, in recent times, I've been getting a ton of emails on remote team building sessions. And, I keep wondering if the team building can happen in just one session, or must it be a continuous process throughout the year? What's your recommendation to the managers and HR teams as how they need to look at team building, especially in the virtual age?
So with respect to how the managers need to be looking at the team bonding sessions, I think as we discussed, it's got to be that they understand the objective very clearly. What is the team going through right now? And therefore, what is it that we want as the end objective before actually embarking on one of these sessions? Now, with regard to how many sessions or whether one is enough and so on, I'm going to give you a slightly longer answer. If we distill everything down to a single statement, the goal of any team is to produce. That's what they are there for. So the productivity of a team is always critical. Now, to keep this productivity high and continuous, we bring in various forms of engagement. The purpose, the mission from the organization. And one of these different forms of engagement is team bonding and team building. In fact, it's one of the base areas that needs to be addressed as soon as a team is formed, and to constantly reinforce it as well. It's the glue. Now, just like everything else with us humans, we get better with practice. So if you want to be a cricketer and I teach you the rules and how to hold the bat, you're not really a cricketer then. Similarly, if you participate in a team activity, you're really not a team player, and it's not right for you to just start putting this on your resume, I think. But team building sessions are the ones that challenge you. When every time you participate as a team in these kind of simulations and sessions, you're just going to get better because you're opened up to far bigger areas and vistas of things that you might experience in the real world again. And that's why that becomes so critical. Think of it like as though this is the league. These are the, tournaments and the championships that you're participating in every time you're doing this. So if you're not doing these kind of team building sessions, all that you are is a gully cricketer. You're really not come out of that. You're keeping things within that small part and saying, yeah, within this, it's fine. We'll have all these issues and all, but you've not really challenged your team skills as much as you can. And the more that you challenge it, the more that you experience the things that can happen while you're put into these kind of environment, is what's going to make you better. And that's what makes the team better. And going back to the statement in terms of when we distill everything down, the goal of any team is really to produce. And the team's going to produce that much more better, the better you function as a team. So every time you can learn how to function better as a team, it's considered, whether you're looking at it as a motivation exercise or a learning exercise, my recommendation is that you've got to do more of these. The one-offs are not really going to help. The one-offs are good for fun. fun. So, and that could be whether you go out bowling with your friends, which I don't know if that's possible right now. Going to a pub, I'm not sure if that's a good idea right now. So, what are the other avenues open to you? Find those ways to just get together, bond, and that's going to help you become better as a team.
Oh, yeah, that's really well said. The purpose of team is to produce, and it's good to keep it that way as a central driving factor. Now, let's get a little closer to the managers. Managers always had to earn the trust and loyalty from the team members. In the past, this took several interactions, experiences, maybe, a couple of disagreements, and of course, it took a lot of time. But the roof got bigger with the virtual space. What can managers do differently to earn the trust and loyalty of the team members? Let me say once again.
Well, for every manager, it's always been that there's one strength which has been their biggest strength always, and that's empathy. In times like these, empathy will see you through. Now, each member of the team is going through something different, every one of us, and that's what, the last 60, 70 days, and possibly the next 60, 70 days, irrespective of when your listeners are listening to this, we're talking about early June 2020 with about 60 to 70 days of lockdown behind us, and possibly another, I don't know how long before, another wave or other lockdowns are going to happen. So every single individual is going through something different. Now, some are single and have returned to their home bases. Some have kids running around the place, causing distractions. There's so many different challenges that every single person is facing. Because let's face it, our homes were not designed for work. Our homes were designed for living, for our home. And we had separated these spaces all along. Now we're trying to create a work environment at home. This is not how it was. We're all trying to cope. Now the managers, for them to build the trust, which is what your question was, in terms of whether the trust has to be built once again, it's important for managers to understand and appreciate the challenges that every single person is going. I'm not saying that they're not doing it. They are doing it. But what's happening is that it's coming back to talk about work, about the major factor is always about work. We're not seeing and showing the empathy that is possible. If you want to build trust, start with the empathy. You have to understand that there are calls that some people may not be able to attend at some time, or it may be that others have other things at that particular instance during the day, which makes them a little more ineffective, for anything else that you as a manager have asked them to do. And the first step, therefore, I think right now is to get to know your team a little better in terms of what are the right times for them. What is the best time of the day to have that conversation? And if you as a manager need to have 3 different conversations with your team of 12 people, rather than one collective, let's all do this together at your convenience, I think that is the way to go forward. Unless you can see the challenges that everyone's facing and try and empathize with them and be a friend at that point of time and recognize that everyone's got different needs, I don't think you're going to go too far as a manager. So I think that's the first step. Now, apart from that, there are many other things that you possibly need to do as a manager to build that trust. But I think as a first step, being empathetic, to show that empathy and for everyone to recognize that, yes, my manager understands me, is going to start helping building that trust all over again.
That's really great point. Actually, it's making me feel that manager's role is going to be even more critical going forward. They need to be empathetic on one hand and yet keep producing on the other. Now, as much as we hate the cliches, this is new normal. Managers are under pressure, but how can the HR teams help managers in managing this new situation of being extra empathetic and deliver more?
Okay, so this is a lot of it is going to be based on my conversations with HR people for all these years. So what I've seen, and this could only be my opinion, maybe I'm treading on thin ice out here, but a lot of HR departments, not necessarily people, but HR departments are known to be guideline focused. It's all about policies and, that this has to be done, this can be done, this cannot be done. And you can't blame them. The bigger the organization, the more the policies and guidelines are likely to be. Now, the critical part today, I think that the HR as a function, rather than just HR manager, but HR as a function has got to learn to be flexible, because everything that you put together in the past in terms of what you can and cannot do has just been shook up badly. So if you're going to go back to being all about the policies and the guidelines, someone's got to be so sure about what the future is going to look like that you can actually write these policies down. Now, I don't think anyone's in that situation. So the first thing that HR managers have to do in supporting the managers is also the same point about empathy. I don't know if large organizations will give that level of flexibility. I mean, I've already been hearing about HR departments rewriting policies and guidelines. Yes, some of them make sense in terms of work from home. What are the things that you can do and you cannot do? But some of these are being written in so much haste that I wonder if people are ready to allow the ink to dry before you start erasing some of these things as well. So it's just going to be that there's so much of change that's happening. So coming back in terms of the HR managers, the HR department, I think flexibility is going to be the norm, because everything that they've been trying to empower managers, because that's what HR is really, not just for managers, but everyone in the organization. But the human resources department has been trying to empower people. I think that's got to accelerate a lot more rather than being a guideline and policies talking about only from the compensation, finding the problem areas in the organization. I think now it's got to be in terms of that a manager's got to be empowered to take care of a lot of these other things. And I think that's the best help that in this, as you said, the cliche new normal, I think that's the best thing that HR departments can do. So literally it's like, and I know this is going to be a shift in terms of mindset, but you're asking a manager of a team or a department to actually be responsible for a lot more things than they were earlier. And now it becomes that much more critical that a person going up to the level of manager also has to showcase those skills. And those skills are going to be all about, in terms of their management skills, far greater than just task-oriented stuff that they're going to be doing.
Totally. I think the shift is really important for everyone. And as you said, all of us as individuals, teams, managers, and HR teams have to up our game. Finally, Rupert, so do we have to tear down all those books, experiences, insights we got about team building pre-COVID? Or you think that some of it is still relevant?
It is relevant. If you're talking specifically about the books about team building and team bonding, I don't know if there's a so-called Bible for any of these yet, but if there was, I think it's still relevant, primarily because it's going to be a long time before we as humans are able to function outside of teams. So if there is, it's been found to be a very productive way of producing, of being able to deliver. So the teamwork is going to be critical. What it means there is you don't need someone to be an expert in every single thing, but you bring together a collection of experts in different areas who together can contribute and therefore have an end result. So whether that's a product, it's a service, it's a delivery, any of these things that you can put people together, right? And therefore teams are going to function. Now, let's take health services, for example. A surgeon is doing one part of it, but supported by 20 other people. Now, that's something that's going to be live and then and there, but that's just to give you an example of how teams work. Now, you can be remote and you still are going to be doing a part of what that entire team's requirement is going to be. And that's why you're there. You're the expert of that one specific part, whatever that might be. So as long as teams are going to function, team bonding is definitely going to be required. I think where the pivot is really is not in terms of thinking of team building as going to an outdoor location, doing a couple of tasks out there and saying, this is what we've done, this is what we've achieved today. But it's going to be more about, because there's a different style of working, that whatever exercises or simulations, anything that happen are to support that style, to make you more productive in that particular area. Most of us haven't really yet figured out how work from home works. We know that we're at home, we know that we're working, but we don't know what our lines are. When do we start? When do we end? And it's perfectly normal. What's wrong with being, active for your workplace for 12 hours a day? I see a lot of people making a lot of hullabaloo about that, but what's wrong with it? Because let's face it, no one's actually policing you to see whether you've taken a 2-hour nap in between or, a break from something else. And no one telling that you shouldn't do it. So you can actually take care of so many other things. Your total productive time is still only 4.5 hours in a day, no matter how many hours you think that you're actually working out there. But as long as we're trying to understand this new norm, working from home, or if it's going to be that once a week we're at an office, things have shifted in the manner in which we work. But because they've shifted in terms of the manner in which we work, I think the fact that we still are part of a team, we still need to be productive, we still need to be efficient, and team building is going to be a form of helping you to get together and learn how to function better in that environment. So I don't see team building and team bonding having to go away, maybe a new term might emerge out of all of this, and that's perfectly possible. It doesn't mean that we've retired the concept. We're possibly retiring a term, but we're not going to retire the concept. The concept is always going to be there.
Awesome, awesome. Teams and team bonding are going to stay. So, Rupert, any final word of advice you want to share with our audience, and something that I didn't ask you?
This is something that I've been telling a lot of organizations of late. I mean, it's important for everyone to recognize that organizations are made up of teams, not of individuals. I'm not trying to promote the kind of business that I'm in and say that you need to do team building and team bonding and things like that. But I think when organizations recognize that the smallest functional unit is still that team, and you take care of that team at every team's level, the organization is going to perform fantastically. I think that is critical. Now, whether it's going to be through remote engagement or in a few months' time, it could be in-person engagement, whatever it is. So I've seen a lot of organizations in the past try and arrange just one, something for the team, and then at the end of the year, boardroom discussions about in terms of financials and results and things like that. And they're looking at blaming the environment, the weather, the politics, and competition and so many other things. Whereas actually what needs to be done enough to ensure that our teams are going to be productive at the highest level. I think that question is what needs to be asked in boardrooms today.
That's a brilliant point. While utilization is checked, I think the question of how can our teams be more productive and how can they deliver at the highest level, I think that should take the center stage in the board meetings. Thank you so much, Rupert. It's a total delight to talk to you as always, and I'm sure our audience will have a ton of things to think about. Thank you so much.
Likewise, thank you for having me, Kiran. And yes, all things remote, that is what we are doing these days. And it's great to be a part of this series with you. And I wish you all the best, and for all your listeners as well.
Hey, thank you so much. All right, so that was on team building and employee engagement. We will talk to you soon with a new topic and a new expert. Until then, enjoy and stay safe. Do send in your feedback and thoughts. Take care. Bye.
Thank you for listening. Stay tuned for more insights and recommendations. Stay safe.